Today we have the pleasure of meeting with Austin Jarchow. Welcome, Austin. How are you doing?
I'm good, man. How are you doing?
Doing well. So Austin is a golf coach and a personal trainer. We're going to get into a lot of that kind of stuff. So you're originally from Lee Summit, Missouri, and went to Lee Summit West. Played golf in high school, and let's kind of talk about your beginning of golf and how you got into the point of where you are now.
Sure, yeah. My dad was a golf professional when I was young, so I played golf from day one. I remember just smacking the ball around the yard. I remember trying to hit baseballs over the house. It was all kinds of stuff. But I always grew up having a club in my hand, and I was always very athletic, and I was trying to get better. I was trying to do something cool, pretty much at all times, and that was kind of what got me going into it. I loved it. I think mainly because I got to go and do it on my own terms and do
Right.
it how I wanted to do it, and I felt like I was in control of it. Versus team sports where you relied on so many other aspects around you to be successful. And I was glad I did both. I think that there's a massive need for team sports still, but for me personally, that just kind of fit my personality better, which ended up being the one thing I really went for in high school. And unfortunately, I was a pretty decent track runner. I was a honestly pretty good baseball player and golf, and all three of those were in the same season.
Yep.
And so I was like, I asked the coaches if they would let me kind of split time, and they all said no. And I was like, well, I'm going to play in golf.
Yeah, absolutely. So you played golf at Lee Summit West. In high school, did you have any kind of idea what you wanted to do post high school career wise?
Yes, I didn't know exactly that I wanted to be in the golf field, but I always had a feeling I was going to be in the golf field somehow, if that makes sense. I obsess over it, and to the point where it's almost unhealthy sometimes, but
Right.
got to bring me back down to earth sometimes, but that's okay. But I knew I wanted to do something with it. I actually went into high school thinking I wanted to be an engineer. I was taking some CAD classes, and I really enjoyed that. I enjoyed the structure of it, the precision. There was a right and a wrong answer, and things of that sort. My brain's very type A, and so I like having right and wrong. I like having yes or no. I can handle gray areas because I have the ability to kind of fluctuate back and forth with it, I guess. But I like math. I like science. I like this is the way to go kind of conversation. And so I originally wanted to be an engineer, and then after that, I decided I was going to start my own business. I was going to be a golf professional. I had all these other ideas in my head, and I decided I was going to go to school for college for business, which is kind of what led me to Central Missouri.
Yep.
And they've got a world-class business school there. It's fantastic. Met some of my best friends there, and then just decided it wasn't for me, mainly because of the accounting part.
Absolutely. Yeah, I have an undergrad in business as well, and
Yeah.
after working in the field for 3 years, kind of did a flip after college, but going back into the profession of teaching.
Yeah.
So then, while you're at Central Missouri, you kind of made that flip into kinesiology. How did that transfer over, and what kind of class like really drug you in that direction?
Sure. I kind of I'm very introspective, and I started thinking about what I wanted to do with my life. I was, I think, second year college, and I just decided I wanted to help people. Whatever I do, I wanted to make sure that I could help people and give back the way that others did to me when I was younger, when I needed it. And I think that was the most important part of me switching and going into kinesiology. The body fascinates me and how it moves and how it functions, how we still are barely scratching the surface with how it really operates. Little things like that just blows my mind. And
Right.
so I wanted to be a part of it. And I was like, this is so cool. And in the meantime, I get to help people, and I could probably relate it to golf somehow. Sign me up. Let's do this. So
Yeah.
that really drug me in. I graduated the corporate fitness major. I was originally exercise science, but I was just done with school, and
Yeah.
so yeah, kind of got to the point where I went to my counselor and I was like, I don't know what I need to do, but I need to be done in a year tops. I think at that point I had done school and summer school like 3 years in a row, and I was just over school in general.
Mhm.
And so, lo and behold, I graduated that semester. So
Right. So with that program, did you have any types of clinicals or any internships that you did along the way that kind of with those summer classes?
I had some internships. I had to shadow a fitness professional for about 500 hours,
Okay.
and that's a lot to work for free.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah. 500 hours is a lot.
yeah, yeah. And Janine Young is a friend of mine. I actually met her through a contact at my first job at St. Andrews Golf Club. That anyway, she let me shadow her. She was a golf and fitness professional, and I was
Okay.
just like this is my alley right here. This is my niche. I want to do this, and I just had some really good conversations with her, and she is brilliant. She probably challenged me more than anybody has ever challenged me in almost anything. And
Right.
so I realized that if I was going to keep up with her conversationally, then I needed to step up my game and really take over. So while doing that, going to school, we had a lot of I guess not really clinicals or anything like that, but we had to go and do a bunch of labs. I really made sure to take my time in labs, and I'm still not very good at it. That's something I really struggle with, but I did the best I can with trying to understand the muscles, the insertion points, the origins, whole 9 yards, and get a good idea of exactly where they are, their functions, primaries and secondaries, and then how that relates with the golf swing. And being around somebody that has been in the industry for 20 plus years and worked with the game's best and had success really forced me to kind of realize I'm in the big leagues now, and I've
Yeah.
got to I've got to figure out exactly what I'm supposed to be doing because I cannot fake it. And
Right.
that was a huge turning point.
Yeah. So while you were at Central Missouri, you also played golf. Let's talk a little bit about how you were able to balance your golf schedule, class schedule, and just that general practice, tournaments, class wise.
It was hard.
Yeah.
Uh, yeah, I mean there was no doubt about it. Um, and I if I could go back and do it again, I would. I absolutely would. I think that knowing what I know now, I would have been much more successful. But I really struggle with time management um, for a bunch of different reasons, but not necessarily because I just didn't want to do it. But I struggled with it specifically because I was more worried about my schoolwork than I was my golf game. But I wanted my golf game to be good, and so I would have this like internal conflict of going back and forth. I wanted to be a winner. I knew I could play better than what I was, but I needed to dedicate my time and my efforts to making sure I could graduate.
Right.
And we weren't. I wasn't very well off growing up. I had what I needed and everything, but I certainly wasn't fail a class and take it again kind of wealthy. And so I needed to make sure that my time was being well used and things of that sort. So I really struggled. I mean, I described my college golf career as horrible. And so I did not play very well, and that's okay, And by the time that I got done, I learned a lot about myself, probably more than what I would have if I played well,
Right.
and my golf game got better because of it. I learned how to struggle through the process, and it was kind of a nice after the fact bonus. So
Yeah. Absolutely. Let's talk a little bit about your progression as a and fitness professional. So you kind of started out as a personal trainer, worked at a couple different clubs in and out the Kansas City area. Um, as a personal trainer, straight out of college, what were some of the benefits for you as that role adapted and changed into the golf profession?
yeah. Um, Well, that's a good question. I think a lot of times people think that what happens in a textbook is what's going to happen in real life. And so I had to kind of take a step back and really focus on what are the real fundamentals that we're working on,
Mhm.
and kind of go from there. And I think there, at least when I was in school, there was a little bit of a disconnect. Like, if you know all this, then you're going to be good. Well, I didn't put that together until I actually got out of school and started working in my profession. And then it was like, okay, full circle here. And so I wish I would have had more actual personal training clients in school, because I felt like I learned so much more from that than anything. But it's kind of rambling, but it's kind of circle back. I feel like the more I understood about the body and how it functioned and the knowledge that I learned in school, I was then able to relate it to the golf swing and then say, these are the real muscles that are being engaged and activated during a golf swing.
Right.
These are the ones that are going to end up being overused or overworked or injured. And then when that happens, X, Y, Z, right? It's just a domino effect. And we kind of point and figure out which one is really overcompensating and underfiring, things of that
Yeah.
sort. So it kind of really helps me identify the things that I needed to know to help you with your golf swing. I could ask you to do something, but maybe you can't even functionally do it. So at that point, I'm wasting my time and yours and your money. And that's not fair to any of us. And
Right.
so I made it a real point to really screen people before we get into an actual golf lesson. I'll ask them a bunch of questions. It may not look like an actual physical screen, as some uh, people will do a TPI screen or an NSCA screen or things of that sort. But in the event that I need to make one based off of these questions that I asked, then we do
Mhm.
it, and I
Yeah.
think people appreciate that. Yeah.
So you spent some time at Kansas City Country Club, Mules Nationals, St. Andrews, Creekmore. As you develop and go through these different clubs and work with different clients and different front office people, what were some of the key components that you were able to take away as you continued to develop your profession?
Yeah. Um, so I think a lot of times golf professionals get very one-sided, and that's certainly not a slight or anything, but it's just more of it's golf. I got to get people on the golf course, right? And so I've bounced around a lot. I'm young. I've been a lot of different places. There's about three more on there that aren't on there, and
Okay.
and I think the cool things about that is I've gotten so much experience in different places that I can share that with each one of them.
Right.
And at that point, then I can say, well, we did this at this location and it was successful, or hey, we tried that, it didn't work. I would do this differently, and things, kind of analyze situations like that. Um, and I think that's a huge asset to any location, is to have somebody like that to rely on and ask questions. Hey, how did you do it at Creekmore? Did it work? What did you think? What would you do different? Or what did you do at Creekmore that you didn't do at Kansas City Country Club, or vice versa? Two totally different clubs, but maybe we're trying to be something that we aren't, right? And really honing in on a golf course's personality and their persona, and really trying to feel out kind of who we are as people. What can we provide, and what can we do well?
Yeah.
Kind of go that route. Yeah, and so I don't know if that quite answers your question.
Yeah, no, that makes sense. Just building on the relationships and being
Yeah,
able to take what you've learned along the way to help
yeah.
out where you're going.
Yeah,
Yeah.
every single one of those places does things differently, and I think it's really key to be flexible in the things that I do and what they do to make things work.
Yeah.
Kind of what I say, one side is it's like um, this is the way to do it, when there's not always one way to do it, right?
Right.
A bunch of different ways to do it.
Exactly.
Yeah,
Uh, so in 2018, you got your PGA membership for coaching. Let's talk a little bit about what that testing looks like and the playing test.
sure. The playing test was weird. I have. I was fortunate to pass it the first time, which was cool.
Yeah.
Uh, I did mine at Longview, or sorry, Fred Arbanus Golf Club,
Okay.
and I had to shoot 160, I think, 159, something like that. So
Right.
we play 36 holes in one day. I have, like, a month before that, I played a lot of golf, hit a lot of golf balls. I didn't shoot above par for an entire month. I did it right out of college. So my
Yep.
game's fairly sharp, right? I was playing a lot back then. And then the guy on the first tee, I'll never forget it. He looks at me and he goes, "Hey, good luck. You got to shoot 159. That's 80, 79." And I looked at him. I said, "That'll be a piece of cake." And then I remember shooting 81 after my first round. And then I was like, what in the world just happened? I sat there, I ate my lunch in silence. I was just like it was like a nuclear bomb went off in my brain. and, and after that, I was able to settle down and go through and pass it with pretty easily, but still it was weird. So that's step one. Everybody has to pass that in
Right.
order to get their PGA membership, and a lot of people don't. And I think for that reason, it's weird. There's a lot of pressure on that test to be able to get that membership. But including that, there's essentially 4 stages. The first one's a qualifying level. It's a very simple test. It's like a golf knowledge test. Here are some different formats. Here are some very basic rules. Here are some very basic things about the PGA. They want you to know that for good reason. You pass that, and then you enter level 1, and then it's book work, and it's a lot of situational type of things. There's a couple different golf courses that they'll send you a case study of. You got to study it, you got to know it, and then at that point, you have all kinds of different programs and questions that you have to answer through 3 different levels
Okay.
to then be able to say, congratulations, you know how to run a golf course. And so it's not so much like,
Right.
hey, we open up at 7, I tell you to go play golf, and I'll see you later, and we're going to lock up at 8 o'clock. There's a lot more that goes into it, as I'm sure
Yeah.
that you can assume. But, we are golf professionals, so not only are we supposed to understand the game, we're supposed to be able to coach it. We're then supposed to be able to manage a business efficiently, hiring and firing, unfortunately. Um, budget, we got to understand budgets.
Yeah.
Agronomy, we have to understand basic agronomy based off of the different local area, right? Wherever you are
Yep.
in the country, you're going to have different weather patterns. So we got to understand that, and we have to understand them all. And then on top of that, we have to do cart fleet maintenance. So now I have to be a mechanic. I
Okay.
have to have basic understanding of how a cart functions. So in the event that it breaks down, that I can then fix it. And then, yeah, I'm sure I'm missing something, but there, it's all kinds of stuff, right?
Wow.
I
Yeah.
fixed,
It's
I
not just,
fixed the toilet in my first job, so
yeah, not just a brake and a gas pedal on that thing.
no, not at all. Not at all. So there's a lot to it. So all of these things are covered in the first 3 levels. Well, I guess the only 3 levels, but through these 3 levels to then be able to say that you are a PGA professional. The cool thing now is that they're going through and they're having like specializations. So you can go through the PGA now and say, I want to be a teaching professional,
Yeah.
or I want to be a head golf professional, or I want to be a director of golf or a general manager. And then they'll try and tie in the education to educate you based off of your interests,
Yeah.
which is interesting, and I'm curious to see how that goes. It just started, but I think it'll end up being fairly successful. My concern is pretty much what we just did, is that the golf professional does so many things. At some point, we still have to know all of these things.
Right.
And so, you know, what's that going to look like? I don't know yet.
Eventually towards the end. So yeah, exactly. So after you got done with that, you kind of started your own business when you were working at some other locations, the Kinetic Club. Let's talk a little bit about what that is and what it entails.
Sure. So the Kinetic Club is my home gym. I was right before COVID. I was planning on opening a location around town, and I was pumped for it. Man, I was excited.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah. So I figured that people would be more drawn to the Kinetic Club than Austin Jarchow Golf and Fitness,
Right.
just based off right? And then eventually I could sell it because it's all about money.
Yeah.
And so, so the Kinetic Club is a home gym for the time being. I've got a full functioning gym in there. I can do anything that you want to do, except the treadmill, but we can go outside for that, right? And then, and then in there, I've got a full hitting bay, so I can hit golf balls, everything all the way up to driver. I've got a launch monitor. I've got a few TVs set up to the point where you'll hit a ball, the image will populate on a screen. It'll tell you all the data points that you want to know, 17 of them. And then from there, we can use that data to then be able to dial in what it is going on in your golf swing. A lot of times what I did this winter was we would hit a ball and we say, my body won't move that way. I understand the data. It's not lying to me because it's literally right there.
Right.
At what point can I say, okay, physically we need to go improve before your golf swing can improve? And so having it right there in the gym, in my garage, was a benefit because then I would put people through some basic movements, get them to understand what that looked like, felt like, get those muscles firing, and then go have me hit a golf ball again. And it was like night and day.
Yeah.
So really, really cool. So that's what the Kinetic Club is. It's based off of that principle. It's a total lifestyle type of environment. It's not just a golf or a fitness. It's both.
Right.
It's kind of what I pride myself on. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. So being a former athlete myself, I kind of am interested in finding out more about like the care of the golfer. So as a golfer's out playing, like you're talking, being able to hit balls and do the exercises to see those muscles fire and then go back and hit the balls. When somebody's getting ready to go play, say maybe they're a beginner, let's look at three different types of people. So
Sure.
we have a beginner, somebody that's just starting to learn how to play, somebody that may have been playing for 5 years, or somebody that may have been playing for 20 years. They're all going to have their own different experiences and their own positives, their own negatives, stuff they're good at and bad at and need help with. What are some of the things that you're going to look at specifically with those populations, either training, recovery, and nutrition, hydration?
Yeah. So the last thing we want to do is ever have an athlete get injured. And so I will always ask them kind of how your basic day-to-day life goes. I call it a full systems check. When I get out of bed, I roll out, see what's feeling good, what isn't. And so I want to know if others are doing the same thing. And then from there, we use that knowledge to then really kind of dial it in and say, okay, how are our eating patterns? How is our warm up and our cool down? What is a normal day? If you're going and playing golf today, what does your normal day look like? Are you doing anything to prep for that? Are you doing anything afterwards to recover from that? And so I'll ask anybody this question, whatever age level or entry level athlete. We are all athletes, right? We have bodies, we move, we are athletic. At that point, when we take that understanding of everybody has this ability to be athletic, now we can really say, here's how an athlete or a person who is trying to be sporty, athletic, right, will work. And so I'm really big on before and after recovery, making sure that if you're going to, I can barely move some days. I got a bad back, a couple of degenerative discs, which is fantastic. And so, yeah, so I've got to make sure, especially in my profession, but I've got to make sure that I can continue moving tomorrow. I'm playing on Thursday. I got to make sure I'm doing my work today to make sure I can play on Thursday. And so I will do that same thing with my clients and making sure that they're set up and they've got programs that are putting them through the appropriate, pre-golf, post-golf exercises.
Yeah.
Same thing for diet, right? So if, in a few weeks I've got a 4-day long tournament. Well, I know that if I just start eating well one day before, it's not going to really do me any good, right? I need to make sure that my eating patterns are better for at least a couple weeks before to get my body used to and using the appropriate nutrients as I go through this round of golf. I'm going to be burning a lot of calories when I'm out there, and so making sure that it's sustainable I'm not just going to crash after the round is very important to me.
Right.
Yeah.
So you kind of look at it as like going from a baseball background, if I was the starting pitcher on a Friday, you're going into playing your golf round on Friday. You got your weekly routine kind of set up of, this day I work on chipping. This day I work on chipping and putting. Maybe this day I'm doing irons. Maybe this day I go do a practice play round. How does if somebody's just like a athlete that's playing once a week, what is a good kind of strategy for them to kind of think about getting into a routine for tournament type stuff for practice wise?
Sure. Maybe the spouses won't really enjoy it too much, but I always say carry a club around the house. Just put your hands on it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I think at that point, if they're not able to get out very often, just being engaged in the game a little bit at a time, 15, 20 minutes a day, honestly, will go a long way, and you'll see some serious benefits right away. So for that beginner golfer, it's not, I'm really big on practice and focusing on the simple fundamentals, but that's exactly what we would do. Put your hands on the club the same way. Take your setup the same way every single time, and focus on those small things that will make you successful versus I'm coming over the top. I need to try and drop it under.
Yeah.
That's different, right? That's an actual function of your setup and your grip and whatever else is going on in your body, right? Whereas we're going to control the things that we can control by doing them the same way every single time, and that's what's going to be really beneficial for us.
Right.
Yeah. Does that make sense?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, cool.
So you've got a lot of certifications. We're going to talk a little bit about those. There's a couple that I'm really interested in. You got your certified personal fitness trainer certification, NSCA. You got your NSAM golf fitness specialist. So those kind of go hand in hand as the fitness certifications for personal training. You got your TPI Performance Institute or Titleist Performance Institute certification. Your level 2 and in golf and fitness in those. And then your super speed golf certification. And I know that's something that a lot of people are talking a lot about right now.
Yeah.
I bought this 2 sets of the sticks probably 3 years ago, and have been incorporating them with myself and our high school golfers in our programs. I'd like to talk a little bit about that and then the TPI to start off. TPI first, the Titleist Performance Institute. What all goes into that, and what type of testing do they look at when you're getting a new patient or client?
Sure. Yeah. So they test about 21 different movements just in the basic level 1 type of screen. Yeah. But there's multiple levels that go along with it. So I did the fitness level 2 this winter. I got bored. And so,
a lot of people got bored over the last year. Yeah.
Yeah. But I think it was very well done. So kind of what goes along with that is a power testing screen, which is fantastic. It's a way to test people just how strong they are without pushing them to a 1 rep max. And so by being able to understand where some actual muscle weaknesses are and identify those just in some real basic movements, then we can say clearly we need to work on our hamstrings, which will then cause these 3 or 4 issues in your golf swing.
Yeah.
And by understanding that, then we can really dial in you and your training and your specific movement patterns that'll make you beneficial. It's the same way with the level 1. It's more of it's called a driving range screen is what it is. And so it's designed for non-fitness professionals, a la golf professionals, who are asking people to make an explosive dynamic movement to be able to then identify where they are movers and where they're non-movers. And so it's been very successful throughout it. It's the gold standard right now in golf fitness.
Right.
And honestly, it's been pretty good. I've enjoyed it. It seems to be that or seems to me that my clients enjoy it. There's a definitive number that they get, just like anything. A golfer gets a handicap, whatever that looks like. A golf fitness person through TPI gets a golf fitness handicap, and so there's a correlation there, and so they can understand it. So I can say, you're a 1700 golf fitness handicap, and they don't have to ask me, oh, is that good? Because they already know. And
Right.
so there's the quantitative that they can take out and say, clearly I need to do better from it, and that's where I enjoy it, because it makes my life easy, because I can tell you that you can't move, but if you don't have anything that will really prove that, then what's the point?
Exactly.
So yeah, it's been really cool. And then I think Titleist in general has been a really big supporter of that, but they're continuing to do some serious research on kinematic sequences and golf swings and body nutrition, all kinds of stuff. They are very open-minded about getting golfers better, which is fantastic.
Right. Absolutely. Let's hit on that swing speed golf also.
Yeah.
I know a lot of people are chasing speed and distance right now in golf, and some people try to swing as hard as they can and hit the golf ball, but it doesn't produce the results that they want. What are the benefits of the following the program along with the swing speed?
Yeah. So I think it's tough to talk swing speed without talking kinematic sequence. So just briefly, kinematic sequence is from the top of the backswing, what order does the body and the club get to the golf ball? And so the correct order should be lower body, so the hips, the torso, the lead arm, and then the golf club itself. Okay.
Yep.
So the super speed stick training protocol is designed to allow you to do just that. It's trying to design. It's trying to get you to move in a way that will optimize the speed at which you're swinging the golf club without putting in so much force that you can't do it. The super speed program has also been proven to your body's got a natural governor on it, right? So I mentioned earlier my body hurts all the time, but at some point my mind says, okay, we're not going to do that, because pain is a limiting factor, right?
Right.
That doesn't necessarily mean that it can't make the movement, but it's your body saying, I don't want to, right? And so there's a governor on your brain, and so by doing these overswing, overspeed principles, what it's allowing your brain to do is break through those governor barriers that will allow you to swing faster, more under control on the golf course. And so by allowing yourself to follow the actual super speed training program, you're finding that you're going to work your way into a better kinematic sequence while also breaking through these barriers. And at that point, you're going to see some really big gains through a portion of the program. And then there's designed periods where you're going to plateau, just like you would in any fitness program that I'm sure you know.
Right.
And then there's larger gains after that plateau. And so they're built in. It'll tell you exactly when you're going to gain speed, when you're going to plateau, and when you're going to gain more. And I think that's fantastic. I mean, at that point, it's right there in front of you. You just got to do it, and then it's a dedication process, right? So it doesn't get any easier than super speed golf. It's right there in front of you.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So after Kinetic Club, you said you're starting that at the beginning of basically the pandemic, and you're moving into now your new role at Brookridge Golf and Fitness. You've been there, I think, a little over a month now, as the director of player development. You mentioned all the different roles and hats that a golf professional has to wear. What are you doing now as a director of player development?
Yeah. My day-to-day role is going to change throughout the season.
Yeah.
However, currently I am putting together programs for juniors specifically to allow them to develop the skills to get better. And so we're using Operation 36, which is a program that will get kids to shoot 36 from different yardages before they're allowed to move back.
Yeah.
I love it so far. I think it's been fantastic. Very surprising. I'm very critical of a lot of things, but but I think it's been fantastic. So that right now is my major role, is handling that. As player development director, my role is not only limited to golf; it's also the fitness aspect of it. And so, by such a blessing to have this massive 10,000 square foot fitness facility up here, a couple indoor hitting areas, a decent range, a putting green. You can come in and spend an hour and a half with me, and we can not do the same thing for about 10 minutes. I mean, I've got all kinds of different things that we can
Right.
do. But all of that is my domain, right? And so at that point, right now, we're on course. As we move into the fall and winter months, we'll start making our way into the gym. And at that point, it's time for some heavy muscle gains, right? Through about January. And then we'll start working our way to a maintenance phase. And then we'll get back on the golf course again. So since I just started here, we don't have a golf fitness program really up and going. They've tried a few things in the past, but we're going to kind of mix it up a little bit.
Yeah.
There hasn't really been anyone championing it through Brookridge as of yet, and so that's my goal coming up. So I'm very excited about that. I think it's going to be hugely successful. Just when I see one person to buy in, they're going to see it's successful, and then it's going to spread like wildfire. And so I'm very eager for that. So that's kind of my role. And then I'm currently and probably will always act as a consultant in terms of golf operations. Like I said earlier, I'm very type A brained, and so I'm very detail oriented. There's nothing that gets past me. I shouldn't say that. Maybe there is, but whatever. But close.
Yeah. Try to as much as you
Right.
can. Exactly.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
And so, after being at 7 different courses, they're also leaning on me for some different advice and direction, and they don't always take it, and that's fine. That's exactly what consultants are for. So that's a wide range of things that I'm doing, but it's fantastic. I unfortunately don't have anything to do with the food and beverage yet. However, I am actively pushing for a juice machine. And so, John, if you see this, I want a juice machine.
I'll make sure John gets a hold of this one.
Yeah. And then I want some just healthier options, but I think it's harder to get people to buy in.
Yeah.
To nutritional stuff until people actually kind of really understand why it's important. And so we'll have some town halls, some town hall meetings this winter. It'll be nice when we can get everybody back in a room again and kind of go from there. But that's kind of my role is education. How can I educate you on how you're gonna not only feel better, play better, but stay here longer.
Mm-hmm.
That's a massive benefit, right?
Absolutely. So, over your 10 years in golf profession, what is something that you're most proud of that sticks out in your head?
I think two things. First and foremost, I'm very proud of my business and what it stands for, and the work that I've done to really help kids that need it more than anything. And I'm not just a junior instructor, but I think I've become a mentor for a lot of them. And I have a couple kids graduating this year that makes me feel really old, but I'm extremely proud of them. And I don't have kids yet, but I just think that is the coolest thing. I really do. I've seen them grow up. It's been awesome. I had some mental health issues when I was younger, very depressed, a lot of anxiety, things that I used to struggle with all the time. And so I would have been able to identify those same traits in current kids that I have. And it's been fantastic. I mentioned to a couple parents that I was like, they need to go talk to somebody soon, if not today. And one kid said thank you. I had a kid say one time, I woke up and showed up today because I like hanging out with you, even though the workouts are hard. I wanted to make sure that I was here for you, and that was the reason he decided to wake up. And I know that that was a very a big struggle, and sometimes they still struggle with it. But I think I can relate with them like that. So that's one thing. I think that's fantastic. And then the second thing is I've had to reinvent myself a handful of times,
Right.
just to stay, one, relevant, but two, successful in this industry. It is ever changing right now, and so I love the fact, specifically about myself, that I feel like I can be successful in any arena. I feel confident in that. I'm a quick learner, so if I don't know something, I'm going to figure it out. If I don't figure it out, I'm going to ask you. And so that's taken me a long time to do. I used to be so much so that I used to be the type that if I couldn't figure it out, I just wouldn't do it, right?
Yeah.
And I wouldn't ask you because I was too embarrassed, right? So, oh my gosh, so embarrassing. But now I'm like, oh, this is dumb. Why can't I figure this out? Help me. Teach
Yeah.
me.
Find a person that knows what they're talking about.
Right.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. Being a coach myself and a high school teacher, you get to see these kids grow and develop along the way. And I think that's really cool that you like to take that out of being a coach. What's something that you might regret not have doing
Mm.
over the last, maybe high school, college, early profession?
Yeah. I really wish that I would have stayed with my exercise science degree and
Okay.
not did the corporate fitness route. And there's nothing wrong with it. I think the corporate fitness route is just more management than anything. The exercise science degree would have opened up more doors. In the event that I ever leave the golf industry, I feel like I've done enough in enough arenas that I could probably land a job somewhere. But having an exercise science degree carries a lot more weight. I'll say a lot more weight than a corporate fitness degree. Yeah, I mean, they're a hop, skip, and a jump away from being a doctor.
Right.
Where, right, yeah, versus a corporate fitness. And again, nothing against those. I got to go back to school, so I don't want to do that. Yeah,
Completely agree.
right.
So looking at your professional career, who in your field, or maybe not necessarily in your field, but who in your field inspires you to be a better professional or a better person?
Yeah, I think it's important to be able to be introspective and um, fairly compare yourself to others. I'm not a massive like, well, he's better than I am person at all, because I think that my personality may fit different with somebody versus someone else's,
Yeah.
and that's huge. And understanding your environment and how it affects change and growth is wildly important. So understanding that, but Andrew from I think it's Premier Fitness Systems, PFS. They're in Arizona. I love their golf fitness program. I think it's fantastic. They've done so well with so many professional athletes, and obviously they have a bigger sample size down there than we do up here. But they do fantastic work. So I keep an eye on what they do. I would consider them industry leaders, and I will reach out in the event that I need help often. Um, and I'm not afraid to do that. And then Kevin Ward up here, great instructor,
Yep.
same thing. I look at him and I'm like, this guy knows what he's talking about, knows both the fitness and the golf side, and I'm not afraid to ask him for questions either. I think that's wildly important. And then let's see, Mark Blackburn, who is the TPI instructor, golf instructor, one of them, I should say. Just a really sharp guy. I haven't had the actual opportunity to speak with him at all. However, I really like the way that he goes about his business.
Hmm.
Um, and I think finding people like that to just watch and grow with and learn from, I think is very important. So I'd probably say those guys.
Absolutely. That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
What's something you wish you would have known in high school or college that would help you with your career now?
Oh gosh. You're not as smart as you think you are.
Okay. Yeah.
I think, yeah, I was a really smart kid. Um, I had a 3.5 in high school, so it wasn't like I was a straight A or anything like that. But so I was fairly intelligent. But going into college, And going into other things, I always thought that I knew it enough that I didn't have to really put my all into it. And I wish I would have taken the attitude that I know nothing. And that's currently what I do. So anytime I go into a conversation with people smarter than I am, which I hope happens more often than I realize,
Yeah.
right? But yeah, fill yourself with people in a room that are smarter than you are. I try and do that as much as possible. Um, I'm never the smartest one in the room, by the way, but so understanding that and being able to go into a learning situation and say, pretend you know nothing, relearn it, right? If you already know it, relearn it. And then that way you master it rather than just glancing over and say, I know enough, right? Because enough doesn't cut it.
Right.
Enough doesn't cut it. You got to absolutely master your craft.
So talking about mastering your craft, that kind of goes into my next question. What are some, you probably have another potential 30 years, let's say, in the golf industry. What are some of your career goals that you want to try to achieve? It could be as a professional, as a coach, as a player, kind of all encompassing.
Yeah. Somebody asked me a similar question the other day. So where do you see yourself in 5 years? And I'm like, I have no idea, But I think after thinking about it, I've kind of come to terms with understanding that I can be successful in any realm in the golf industry. I just have to decide which realm I want to be in. Do I want to be
Right.
in the management side? Do I want to be in the instruction side? Do I want to be overseeing a massive club, or do I want to work with a program like Operation 36, things like that? So I would hope that I guess two dreams really. Whatever it is, I want to continue getting smarter, and I'm a lifelong learner. I think it's important that people continue to do that, and so I'm going to continue educating myself, and then hopefully I can continue to pass along that information. And so that I think that would be really more important to me than anything, and trying to be a really good mentor for the people around me, and helping them get to where they want to be. I think I get the most success uh, for me when I am able to give back in that manner and say, when somebody comes back and say I was successful because you did this for me, I get the most out of that. So whatever that looks like, that's really what I'm going for, I guess.
Yeah, absolutely. I think, being able to be that mentor person and being that lifelong learner really promotes coaching lifestyle, being around people, seeing
Yeah.
their growth, learning the new thing, and then being able to take that and teach others. I think that's pretty cool. What's a book that you would recommend to a high school, college student that's interested in getting into, studying kinesiology realm in college?
Mm-hmm. I don't really read too many books. I do read articles though.
That could
And
be
so,
yeah.
yeah, so I don't really know if I could recommend one, honestly,
Yeah.
but I would find some that are peer reviewed.
Okay.
Uh, and I'm currently going through Renaissance periodization right now, and I'm reading what those guys are doing, and I'm loving it. I think it's fantastic, and so finding an organization that is science backed, I think, is extremely important, and then being able to go through their articles and just kind of pick a topic and get to know it better, right? So I'm learning nutrition right now. More so than I already know. I don't know enough. You can never know enough, right? I love NSCA's articles that I'm a, my PT's through them, so I can go on and log onto their website and
Mhm.
I can see a bunch of research that they provided, and it's all free, which is
Yeah.
fantastic. And so I will do that, and I'll pick. My back hurts. Well, I want to learn more about the back now, right?
Right.
And so and I will do that, and I'll just kind of pick a few and I'll go from there. And then Facebook's not the greatest place to find news and data from anything. However, you are a product of your environment, and so I went through and I followed a bunch of golf sites and I followed a bunch of fitness sites. And so now that is basically all that I see on my news feed, and I love it. And so when there's an article that I think is interesting, I'll read it, I'll tag myself in it or something along the lines that I can go back and reference it and go from there, right? If it's something I don't necessarily agree with everything that I read, and I think that's incredibly important is being able to draw your own conclusions from the research, or do your own research after that, right? If you're unsure, conduct
Right.
your own experiment of something along those lines. Yeah, but
Yeah, absolutely.
yeah,
I guess, yeah, about four more things. Two of them are kind of related.
sure.
What's the product that you use as a golf coach or, as a trainer that you use on a daily basis that really helps you coach or train your athletes?
I use my iPad every single day, and I use because I am constantly taking data. So whatever app I may be using at the time, I've kind of fluctuated between a few. But I've got a personal training app. I've got a Coach Now app that allows us to communicate
Mhm.
and share data back and forth. I can, we can share golf swings, things of that sort,
Yeah.
whenever we're not even together. And then I've got a launch monitor that I will use for every golf lesson because I think it's important that the things that I'm telling you, you are 100% sure by the data that is right there. There's no debating it, right? And at that point, then we can say, man, that felt weird, but I can say, yes, it was correct, right? Or, well, it
Yeah.
felt weird because it was wrong,
Right.
right? Yeah. And so learning will get better. Learning will take place faster when that happens versus, I don't know, it looked good. So,
Yeah, absolutely. So the next two are kind of they piggyback off of each other. So I've talked with a athletic trainer and we were kind of talking about, what's something that if you don't like this, you should not get into athletic training. She said, if you don't like feet, don't get into athletic training because you're wrapping ankles all the time, looking at
yeah.
twisted ankles, that kind of stuff. So I've kind of piggybacked it as to if you dislike this and if you do like this, then this is the type of profession that you should get into.
Yeah. The knock on the golf business right now is the hours and the pay. And I think we're going to see a serious renaissance in the industry because I think we're going to find out just how valuable golf professionals and business managers really are. And
Right.
so it would be unfair for me to say that is the only thing that is unfair. However, I will say that if you're not a people person, this is not the industry for you.
Yeah.
This is very relationship based. Um, you've got to learn how to sell yourself. So I'm constantly selling myself. I'm selling myself right now without really even selling myself, right? But I'm telling you
Right.
exactly what I'm doing. You need to be able to do that in an elevator pitch. Why should someone give you $1,000,
Yep.
right? Well, I'm the best that there is in the area right here. It's like, well, cool, but I'll go to the best in the state. Like, well, okay, well now I just lost $1,000, right? You better
Yeah.
do better than that, man. So so it's a relationship based, and being able to sell yourself. Um, if you can't do those two things, you're going to struggle being successful.
Right.
Um, I think if you like an ever changing uh, career and you're not afraid to put yourself out there and go after it, then I think it's fantastic. Both of them, the golf and the fitness one,
Yeah.
fitness. I love the fact that I don't do the same thing every single day. It may look like it. I have different conversations with every single person that I meet. And I meet so many different types of people that I need to be able to communicate with every single one of them. And then make sure that we have a lasting relationship or at least a working relationship to the point where uh, you are getting everything that you need out of this hour, if that makes
Right.
sense. Yeah.
Yeah. Absolutely. All
Mhm.
right. So the last thing I got is if you have a mantra or quote that you live by, or a favorite quote that kind of helps motivate you.
Sure, sure. Um, Wherever you are in time and space, that is exactly where you were supposed to be right there at that moment. And so I try and be the best that I can at all times. And I don't always succeed at that. However, I've found that with a good attitude And even though it may not be where you want to be, you will end up there. You just got to just keep grinding. You know what I mean? So I'm always trying to do something, at least one nice thing per person every day. That'll catch up to you. But yeah, I wherever I am at that moment, I try and make the best of it, even though it may not be where I want to be long term. That's exactly where I'm supposed to be right then in that situation, and people will watch and notice, and being the best that I can will get me to that next spot. Yeah.
Awesome. Well, hey, speaking of that, I love this conversation. It was awesome to hear, your perspective on the golf industry and, how you got to where you are. Thank you so much for spending an hour with us talking about your career and what you do.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks for having me on, Jake.